and then I was able to interview Julian Ferguson and Frank Ziegler on last week, who, as I mentioned, are incarcerated in South Carolina. And today, I was supposed to interview another young man who's actually incarcerated in Angola here in Louisiana, but we were not able to connect with him, unfortunately. There's a lot of red tape when you're dealing with the penal system, especially one that's a federal prison like Angola is. And so we were not able to connect with him. However, I did want to invite this special author on the show. This man has been a very good friend of mine for many, many years. We've done book signings together in a number of different cities. And I actually was able to reconnect with him in Atlanta. This was probably about 2 or 3 months ago. And since then, we've been talking, and then I got to learn a little bit more about him. And then when I told him I was doing this series talking with authors who are currently incarcerated, he really wanted to be a part of it, and I was so happy that he was. When you hear his story, it's just amazing. And without further ado, I'm going to bring him on. Jihad, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Hey, Jihad, how you doing?
Hey, Queen, I'm doing great. Thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you for being here. I'm so happy that you decided to be a part of this show. And I don't know if you heard me while I was talking with the audience, and I was letting them know that you have a special message for incarcerated authors. And if you're willing, I would love for you to be able to share your own story about why I think it's so special that you connect with these authors.
Sure. Well, from 1992 to 1999, I was in I did time in 7 different federal prisons up and down the East Coast of the state. And then when I went to, most of my life, you know, I was a miscreant. I was a non-conforming to societal standards. I can't just say I was a drug dealer. I did so much of everything, you know, that was illegal, because my mindset that I have, and a lot of people that grow up in impoverished communities and in poverty, and especially young black folks, you know what I'm saying, the idea of success is to have money. Yeah. And you know, so it's like when you live in low income housing or areas like that, you know, everybody's scratching to get ahead. They're trying to get ahead, you know, and you know, I fell into the thing because my father was a hustler. People, the heroes in the black community in the hood, they were doing something that wasn't usually it wasn't legal. You know, you had the hustlers, you had the drug dealers, you had whatever, but they the ones that had money, but they were also the ones that preyed off the community. But again, I didn't know that, and probably really wouldn't have cared, because my idea of self, who I was given to me by someone that never wanted me to be free. The little time that I spent in school then and everything, you know, this history and this culture and everything, you know, I didn't want to be a victim, you know, and our history, we have a victim's history as written by the oppressor, as written by white society. You know, we've always been victims in this country. We've been enslaved, we've been that, we've been people that have been in need, but that's the history that they put it at, you know, and so that's a history that a lot of us, especially in hood, that don't want to be. You know, we want to be Superman, but we know Superman didn't look like us. We want to be Tarzan, but we know Tarzan didn't look like us. But we definitely didn't want to be the savages that looked like us, you know, that was put out there. And one of the messages I want to tell brothers and sisters that are incarcerated, you know, you got to do something with your life while you're in prison. Just because you're in prison don't mean you locked up.
Yes.
You locked up, this means a mentality. When I was in prison, I remember a brother named James Smith once told me, when I went to prison, you know, I was a hustler, and I didn't know what to do, but I knew that I wasn't going to sell no drugs no more because they gave too much time. I was trying out my thing. I was going to go, and the 7 years I had to do, I was going to try to find another crime, and it was going to be my university, something that didn't give as much time. But I'm hearing these couple of brothers talking about this black, knowledge of self, whatever, you know, and other people were gravitating towards me. And one thing that I learned early on, that's power, because I used to get people to sell my drugs and do everything for me, you know. So I'm thinking, man, if I could control these brothers, like James Smith Bay or Eric Bowles, one of these brothers are doing, you know, with this black knowledge of self, and these 3 and 4 syllable words they dropping down sometimes, you know, and that's what my whole mentality was, just running game on them to give me the game. I just want to speak like them, you know, and I'd never seen nobody. James Smith Bay one time, a guard said something to him, holler at him. He got up, looked that guard in the face, spoke very, very calmly and smiled, but it was like power, because the guard, like, he kind of shirked back. You could tell it was the power was exchanged.
Yes.
That guard, all that power that guard had, just came to Smith Bay, like, oh man, that was like royally gangster to me, without listening to hand or finger pulling the trigger. He just took power from that man. You know.
Is that what led you to just begin to start writing?
Nah, not at all. I never read a book in my life. See, I didn't read. People was trying to tell me, well, brother, they give me books to read because they wouldn't give me the game. I'm like, I ain't trying to read nothing. So I'm a fake reading the book, you know. So
yes.
First time the brother gave me a 69, 70-page book called Visions for Black Men. Well, that was the very first book I ever looked at. When I opened that book up, I forgot it was a couple of words. I wasn't Malcolm X. It was a couple of words on the first page in the introduction I didn't even know. Didn't want to read the book anyway. I wasn't going to get a dictionary and look it up. I held the book 2-3 days, went back to the brother, and I was like, man, I just can't get in this, whatever, you know what I'm saying? Okay, that's okay, brother. I got something for you that's a little easier to read. This brother gave me a book, black and white book, that was 3 times as thick as that. It was called They Came Before Columbus by Ivan Van Sertima. Well, in my mind, I said, ain't no black man named, as so the ignorance of mine, ain't no black man named no Ivan Van Sertima. That's what I was thinking, right? I never even opened that book. Again, 2-3 days, because I'm sitting up thinking, you know, because I'm still listening to the brother speak and everything, and gave that book back to him. I'm not going to keep going into it. But I got about 3-4 books. But I remember one time, like the third book I said, brother, James, brother, why are you every day, you got your clothes ironed, you got your hair all done up and everything, you know, you come out the cell, you be clean as the board of health, you ain't going nowhere, brother. You got a Buck Rogers release date. Buck Rogers release date in the federal prison. When you go in, first things you do when you get to see your case manager and counsel, they give you your release date, you know. And this brother had like a 2197, something like that, crazy, you know, never get out. So the brother smiled at me real calmly and was dead serious and said, no, I said, brother, I said, you locked up, you know. He said, no, brother, I'm not locked up. I'm free. You locked up. And he said it so calmly and stuff like that. And I was like, oh, my God, this brother smoked some crack. He's smoking something up in here, you know, because that was the first thing I said. And then he brought out this book. It was something, I remember it said something about Tibet. He said, yeah, I'm going to Tibet today. I'm like, what? He said, everything is about imagining. Everything is about your thought, the way you think about yourself and the way you think about anything else. And he said, when I get between the pages of this book, I'm there. Yeah. I'm going to be in Tibet. So I dressed up because this is where I'm going today, you know. And I couldn't understand it until I finally started reading. It was like about a year later. There was some brothers on the track. I got transferred to another institution this time and called myself tricking another brother to get in the cell with him. We called him old school, right? So I'm on the track one day, and I'm hearing these brothers talking about, they read lines from this book, like, I think some line was like, something, motherfucker, bitch, motherfucker. What? And I'm like, oh, shoot, who is that? And I'm listening, they talking about this book, right? And I go over there, I go, what's going on? And they talking about this author named Iceberg Slim, right?
Yes.
And I had never heard, and see, you got to understand, that was my reality. That was my reality, what gangster was and what cool was. Like, he's got some good game right here, you know. Mm-hmm. And so then, next thing I know, I couldn't get an Iceberg Slim book, but I got me a Donald Goines book, and before I knew it, I had read everything that Donald Goines, I had read everything that Donald Goines had written, everything Iceberg Slim had written, you know.
How old were you at this time?
I was 23.
So you were 23 before you really started getting into reading?
Before I read a book, I never read a book in high school or anything like that. I graduated from an alternative school because one reason I didn't read, in high school there was a book, To Kill a Mockingbird, Harper Lee.
Yes.
I didn't want to read about no black man and no Boo Radley that was accused of rape, and again he was the object of the oppressor of these white folks. That was not. I didn't want to read that. I had no interest whatsoever in reading that type of thing. And then there was a book called The Outsiders. I remember The Outsiders by S.C. Henry. I'll never forget it. On the book cover, it got this white boy with a black leather jacket and with the fine haircut, and these other white boys like they cool. Now, we, as black and hood, we was the epitome of cool and the epitome of hard and the epitome of gangster. And these white boys is not gangster. And that's, again, totally not the reality. And so I didn't see myself in this pace. I didn't see myself on the cover. So there's never enough interest for me to even want to read. You see?
Yes.
So when I'm in prison and I'm reading these books, it just blew my mind. And I'm going to tell you how good God is, right? It was a lockdown. I was in Manchester, Kentucky, SCI. And I was in a cell with the old brother, old school brother. And we was locked down for about 2 days because it was a riot. It was a potential riot. And by then I had these colorful words. I called books my crack. I was like, man, I ain't got no crack, man. I need something to read. I'm tossing around the top bunk. I said, man, I need something gangster. And then he says, oh, man, you just want some gangster? Like, yeah, old school. I said, man, he started reaching his lock. I said, old school, you ain't got none gangster. You got all those knowledge books up in there. And so he said, let me tell you something. I said, I hear you talking about Iceberg Slim. He said, I got something more gangster than anything that you've ever read. I'm like, huh? But no, you don't. He said, this author is. So he pulls out this book, and he hands it up to me. I'm all excited. And I get the book. I'm so disappointed. Queen, it was that same red, green, and black book, Visions of Black. And I'm like, man, I done read this book, man. This man's a professor down in Florida State University. He ain't no gangster I'm going on. So this old brother, he's got real indignant with me, you know. He's like, because his integrity was everything to him, you know. And he's like, brother, you calling me a lie? I'm like, nah, but I'm just telling you. He said, no, you have not read this book because you would not be saying the words coming out your mouth would be coming out. He's going on and on about this and everything. And he got so indignant, I thought he was ready to do so. I'm like, oh, Lord. So I'm like, okay, old school, calm down. I'm not going over. You're right, I probably ain't read it. You know, I looked at it. So by then, I was a reader. So once I started reading the book, it was totally different when I first started reading the book. And I had all these emotions that went through me. That was the changing point of my life right there. Visions for Black Men, it was changed my whole life in like a couple hours. I knew exactly what I had to do, what I wanted to do after I read that book. When after I read that book, I'm like, wow, you know. And then the brother said, yeah, and I started talking about the book, how I can't believe this stuff is common sense. I can't believe that we doing this. I can't believe I'm up in there, whatever. And he said, brother, it ain't common sense, because if it was common, Black people wouldn't be in the position and the condition that we are as the people. He said, common sense is only relative to someone else who's walked with you in your footsteps or walked beside you. Yes. Right? And so then I was like, yeah, and I was like, well, man, you know, you got me that, but the book wasn't gangster and everything. No, he got mad. No, whoa, but what you mean you weren't gangster? He said, brother, because I've been shot 3 times before I went to prison. When I went to prison, I was in a wheelchair at first, but I'm not in a wheelchair anymore. So anyway, brother said, well, when you was in a wheelchair, let me ask you something. He said, if somebody came up and tried to take your stuff, try to rob you, what would you do? I was like, well, I got my gun with me. He said, yeah, you got whatever you need. He said, come on, old school, don't ask me that. You know what I do. And he was like, okay, and you think that's gangster? And I'm like, I didn't answer the question because I knew I was being set up. And then he said, that brother that you read that you like so much, what's his name? I said, I don't know. He said, Iceberg Slim. I said, yeah, okay, Iceberg. He said to me, you know that brother only has a 3rd grade education, right? I only got 3rd grade. I said, okay. He said, so you think it's real gangster for someone with a 3rd grade understanding to get women to go sell their bodies and take their money back to them? You think that's gangster? And before I could say, I said, hold on, brother, let me tell you something. He said, let me tell you what gangster is. Gangster is when you go against somebody bigger than the mafia, a whole system that's so gangster, a system that was designed to destroy you before you was even a twinkle in your daddy's eye. As a matter of fact, before your daddy was even a twinkle in his daddy's eye. And it blew my mind. It all came together for him right then. He said, not only did this man study his culture from his own experiences from other people's, Black people's and Africans' perspectives, right, you know, and where we're the subject. He said, but not only did he do that, and he's still doing that, he said he went back to the Eurocentric schools, and he said he got his BS degree, then he got his MS, more of the same, and then he got his piled higher and deeper in Eurocentric ideological bullshit. And I'm like, whoa! It broke me all the way down. He said, now you know why he did that? He did that because he loves you. He loves Black people. That's the only reason he did that. Because it cost so much money for him to do. And he said, educators don't get paid a lot of money. And I said, and then he had to study all this stuff. He said, but he loves himself so much. And loving himself, he loves his people. You know.
Well, one thing I think though is that you read that book at the right time. You would not have been able to receive that had that been
No.
the first book you read. So what actually helped to open the door for you was reading Iceberg Slim and Donald Goines. Once you read them, you were able to be open to reading something else.
That's right. That's right. You know what, Clint? That's exactly right. I agree with you 100% because I was moving so fast in the streets. I would have read and skipped all over the words. Mm-hmm. And I was in a position where I read so many books, read many books about our people, myself, from our perspective, whatever. And I just knew it. I knew what I had to do because I had been hustling all my life. Carter G. Woodson says, we've been going to the back door for so long, no longer we have to be told to go back door. We'll automatically go. If there is no back door, we'll create one as the people. Yeah. And I understood that because I've been doing that. So I said, you know what? I'm going to backdoor my people. I'm going to give them this entertaining stuff. And I'm going to give them this stuff right here. But I'm going to put messages of Malcolm, messages of Martin, messages of resilience, redemption, messages of who we really are in the book to try to get I want it to be a bridge. I want to be a bridge to people to get to John Henry Clark. People, and the bridge I had to be is I had to get to my people. My people is people that are in the hood, so I had to speak the hood language. See, I can't bring people up to a certain level unless I respect the level where they're at, and I go to that level, and I know that language,
And now that you know that, now you're starting to share it with other people. So what? We have a few minutes left before we go to a commercial break. But before we go to the break, when did you make that transition from being a reader to being a writer yourself?
Oh, actually, no, it was about 1996. I started writing these essays, and these essays got real popular in prisons, and subsequently I spent about 2 years, 9 months in solitary confinement in the 7 different prisons. Because when I started writing, people started wanting to hear what I had to say, and I started getting in all kind of trouble in prisons. Like there is a shot, which is an incident report called reckless eyeballing. That means, and this is in the federal system, it's a true charge. That means anybody can charge you with looking at them funny. That was a charge I got a lot of times, and I was also charged a lot of times with inciting an inmate organization without a charter. Inciting an inmate organization that was what you call a very, very severe charge where I lost good time, and I was put in a hole and sent to other prisons. And the only reason because people gravitated towards me, they just wanted me to shut up. But I'm gonna show you how good God is. When they put me in solitary confinement, they would either take away the pen or they would take away books. But they never took away both, no matter where I was at. So that's what made me know this is what I'm supposed to be doing. If I got a pen or I got a book, that's all I need, Yeah. And then so it was solitary confinement did totally different. It worked totally different for me than it does most people. I was able to really think.
It sounds like
get into myself.
And as I've been saying for the past few weeks, and you basically said it yourself when you told your story, is that even though you were in solitary confinement, you might have been imprisoned, but your mind was not imprisoned, and you were able to continue to expand.
I think about that, yeah.
So, I mean, that's what it sounds like. When you were telling the story about the man who would get dressed up to go to different places when he read a book, his mind was not in prison. When you were in solitary confinement and they either took away your pen or they took away your books, never both, that helped you to continue to let your mind expand. So your mind was able to travel to places that your physical body was not.
Yep, exactly.
So that's the way I see it, and I think it's awesome. So yeah, I believe that you're correct, and that this was meant for you because nobody was ever able to take that from you.
Mm-hmm.
So I congratulate you on that. But we're going to take a quick break, and when we get back, I would like to talk to you a bit more about your own writing journey. What led you to becoming that published author who's been very successful? Because you have how many books now?
14.
14 books now. And you actually have a series that we're going to talk about a little bit later as well. So if you can stay right there, we're going to take a quick commercial break, and then when we get back, we'll talk a bit more about your writing journey.
That'd be great. Thank you, Queen.
Thank you. So you stay right there. We'll be right back.
All right.
What is New Orleans Talk Network? It's today's hottest topics with an added flair. You get ready, because the conversation will be hot, and better yet, mobile. Download the New Orleans Talk Network app, available on Android, iPhone, iPad, and you can listen to us on the web at www.neworleanstalknetwork.com. Write down our talk line at 504-341-TALK. That's 504-341-8255. Interactive and worldwide. That's what we are. Join in on the real conversation and tell a friend about the New Orleans Talk Network.
Hello and congratulations. You have arrived at the second half. I'm your host, Cinder Coleman Miller. Connect with us every Thursday at 10 o'clock a.m. on the New Orleans Talk Network as we discuss issues pertaining to the most exciting and prolific generation of our times, the baby boomers. So for information, resources, and booming entertainment, meet us at the second half, brought to you by the Boomers Lifestyle Network.
I'm living my life like it's golden, living my life like it's golden, living my life like it's
Listen up. Your customers, our listeners, could be hearing about your business right now. Yeah, right now. Don't miss out on the opportunity to advertise with NewOrleansTalkNetwork.com. Call our business department today at 504-475-4793 to hear about our great rates. NewOrleansTalkNetwork.com. We provide the people, you provide the business.
What's up, readers and shakers? It's your girl, Rhonda M. Lawson, sending you a personal invite to the Literary Lounge. Tune in to Horizons with Meet the World Image Solutions each Wednesday at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time for the best in literary conversation. Each week, a different author will join us to talk to their most important readers, you. You can also call in to ask your own questions. So don't forget, each Wednesday at 7 p.m., join us in the lounge for Horizons with Meet the World Image Solutions. See you there. Hello, I am back, and I am with best-selling author Jihad Uhuru. Hope I said it right. I always just call you Jihad.
Yeah.
But
You
okay, wonderful. But now that we're back, I did want to talk with you a bit about. I know you said you began writing essays, and this was actually while you were still in prison. Is that correct? That you were writing
Yes.
essays?
Yes, it was.
Okay, so when did you move over to actually writing books?
A year before I got out of prison, I wrote my first book, which was in 1998, and it was my life story.
Okay.
And I got out of prison in 1999. And what's so phenomenal about the story is that I couldn't get no ground or anything for the first couple of years. But I used to try to talk to everybody, hustle everybody, and I'm at a book signing at a mall in Atlanta, Georgia, and another author was signing after me. I didn't know who this author was, but I didn't know she was an author. She comes up to me, and I'm telling her, "Oh, well, Queen, what's your name?" She said, "Lolita." I said, "Oh, Lolita, oh, you gonna sue me?" I said, "You on page? Here you go." I just flipped the book open. Because one of the things, I flipped the book open, I say, "Just read it. It's all about you. You can sue me. I don't have that much money." So, and this happened to be the author Lolita Files, if you guys heard of Lolita Files, right? And I didn't know who she was. She didn't do her book signing. She sat there and almost read half that, because Lolita's a very fast reader. Read half that book in about, because I did her sign. I was still selling books doing her signing, so I sold out. And she was so excited about the story that she called her two best friends, Eric Jerome Dickey and Victoria Christopher Murray. She's like, "Yo, this story is amazing. We got this, whatever." Now, Lolita, she doesn't get enough fame. This woman started in age. She's an author. You know this about age. She started in agenting company. Yes. An agenting company just for me. Just for me. I was only because she really wanted this story to get out there and everything. Wow. You know. And it was so wonderful. and that's really catapulted everything because she brought me to LA, and I did Stevie Wonder's radio station. Phone lines blew up, and Oakland. I'm all over, California and everything. And then next thing I know, everybody, wanted to hear about this brother and see what his book was about or whatever. So, make a long story short, I signed a book deal, and I've been writing since I started my own publishing company in 2006. But one thing that had me, because I was doing all these speaking engagements at colleges and universities, because my first book, Street Life, was and is still taught at several universities and colleges around the United States and in Germany. And it just made me feel so good when I'm speaking and people want to hear what I got to say, and they're nodding their heads and they like, oh, it's so great, it's so great, it's so great. And although I really wasn't all that great, it made me want to be better. It made me want to do better. And my goal was all to empower and uplift our people. And I always want, and they want to hear about me, but I was tired of talking about me. I wanted to tell them about them, and how they can rise up. And these are white universities. Most of them are white, because black people don't touch you unless you're validated by white society a lot of times.
Yeah, that's actually true, unfortunately.
And it is unfortunate. I mean, everywhere. Everywhere is doing everything. And what it made me want to, I got to do more. I got to do more than just write, because my books are real good, real big in prison and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But the streets are real big on the streets, but the middle-class black bourgeoisie never would accept my books because, one, during this time you had this word jihad that was publicized in the media real big, right. Being this evil word. It was like
that's
a word that was worse than
jihad is a scary word. Just like Al Jazeera is scary. Hussein is scary for people. So how do you overcome that? Well,
let me tell you how I overcome it, because it was education. I tell people, what it means, and they still wouldn't listen. But I give you an example. I'm in Atlanta, and people are like, well, I don't read nothing like that. I don't read that kind of books. I don't want to live that life. And I would say, well, man, what kind of books you like to read? She said, Christian fiction. I said, oh, man, all my books are Christian fiction. That ain't I don't like no Christian fiction. I said, well, man, let me ask you a question. Who was all Jesus' boys? Every last one of Jesus' boys, if they would have lived today, they would have looked like these people on the cover. They was horse hustlers, dope dealers. And I said, now, the fruit usually don't fall far from the tree, although Jesus was all this and all that. But these were his people. The people that's almost covered that you call Christian fiction, those look like the people who persecuted and killed Jesus and turned on him, right or wrong. And then I would say, man, can you tell me one prophet in the Bible? Moses, Moses was a killer, man. He was a straight killer. But let me tell you what Moses did. See, Moses went up in the strip club, man, and he came up out of the strip club, and he saw the police come, and the police were harassing some of the women and some of the sisters, and everybody was scared because the police was forced. And Moses stepped up and like, nah, y'all gotta leave these sisters alone. Said, what you gonna do? You one person. Moses pulled out his shotgun, Jack, and said, I can show you better, I can tell you. So them cops, they cowards, they pulled up off, and they all had guns. Moses had one shotgun, but he had a whole lot of heart, right? So he pulled up off the girl, and Moses was like, after the police left, they praised him. Moses, hey, I got to go for the cops come back. But no, you can't leave us because they're going to kill us, they're going to do this, they're going to do that. So Moses tugged at his heartstring. He's like, it really ain't that serious. I'll go on and let me help you out. So that's the story of Moses. I don't know what story y'all read in the Bible, but that's the story of Moses put in modern day context.
That technically is the story of Moses. It may not have been a strip club, but he did rescue a bunch of women from being harassed.
Yeah. And what about David? David, what did he do? David sent somebody in the war to get killed just to get their wife. Now, if we talk about that for a minute, now let's go back and say, okay, which books was Christian fiction? The people who up in the church and who ain't never did none of this? Because Jesus never preached a sermon in church anyway. Or these people. It's about everything in your spiritual circle is about moving from oppression to freedom. It's about liberation. And I write about liberation. Every book I've read was about liberation, was about redemption, And one thing that inspired me, I said, I need to go back to school. I said in 2006, I need to go back to school because I need to do more. I need to be in a classroom because, again, our middle-class black bourgeoisie will not validate me. They will not read my books. They will not listen to me. But these are my people. I need to get to all of my people.
That's a very good point that you're making right there. I think a lot of times we as authors, we feel like because our first couple of books did pretty well, that there's no need to be taught anymore. We know it all. We need to be teaching other people. We forget that, you know, just because we might have been popping at a certain point in time does not mean that we're going to continue to be popping. You know, we need to get out there, learn more, continue to improve our craft. I mean, I remember Eric Jerome Dickey mentioned that he's always reading, he's always looking for ways to change up his writing, to do characterization, and that's why hardly any of his books are exactly alike, because he continues to learn. So I'm glad that you pointed that out there, because I know a lot of authors really admire you, and a lot of them may not have taken a writing class. They may not have really learned a lot there. A lot of what they've learned about the industry is what they've learned by trial and error. So I'm glad that you pointed out that you're one of the authors who's actually still being educated.
Exactly. Yeah. And the thing is, you know, everything it's all about. And when I say the word education, educate comes from the Latin word educe. And the word educe means to bring out and to bring forth what's already within you. You got these gifts within you, but you have to have these gifts brought out of you. But you get that all out of you with the correct information that moves you and your community forward. You know what I'm saying? The progress. And when you can apply that information to do that, then that's when it becomes knowledge.
Yes.
You know? And the thing is, when I tried to go back to school, let me tell you what happened to me. One of my mentors, Dr. A.C. Hilliard, who I read so much of, he actually was an educator at Georgia State University. So I tried to apply. I said, I'm going to Georgia State University. I'm applying for Georgia State. Well, I got turned down first because of my record. I appealed that. And the next thing I got turned down for is because they said I had a certificate of attendance. But it was a high school diploma. I graduated from alternative high school over homeless shelter, but it was you got to have a 2.5 GPA to have a diploma. But I graduated in 87, so I had much less 2.2. Maybe that's the equivalent of like a C minus D average or something.
Right.
So I appealed that. I took them to court, and I won that too. And so next, I'm in there now, so I took their entrance exam. I failed that entrance exam with flying colors. So let me tell you what I did. So they said basically, well, you can't come to our school. So I'm like, I'm dumb, okay. So I transferred into Atlanta Metropolitan College, a junior college. And I said, I'm going to show them. Now, this is a D student. I'm a D student, never was in school that much. I said, I'm going to make all A's and B's, just to show that our people, that no matter what circumstances you come from, you can do anything you want to do if you want to, or bad enough. Yes. Well, first semester, I made all A's. And when the whole time I was at Atlanta Metropolitan College, I made 1B. I graduated with highest honors, transferred into Georgia State University, got scholarship, and turned around, graduated. Now, 2 years later, this is the same school that said I wasn't smart enough to go there, right? And I was a convicted felon. Out of 3,300 some students, I graduated #1 with a 4.13 GPA in 2014. And I was going to Harvard to do my grad studies, but then I got custody of my son, my son, so I stayed. Georgia State was so gracious to offer me a full ride to get my master's. Same way I graduated summa cum laude with my master's at Georgia State now, you know. And this is the same convicted felon, drug dealer, several records and everything. I'm teaching now. I teach at Atlanta Metropolitan State College. I teach Intro to African American Studies, and I teach sociology, and I teach children's church at my church here, you know, in Georgia. And this is something nobody would ever. Anybody who knew me when I was writing, nobody would ever believe that. Nobody would ever believe that I would be in a church, you know. Period. You know.
And see, that's what I'm talking about. Nobody can tell you what you should be just because they saw what you may have been. They cannot determine what you can be.
That's right. That's right. You know, I mean, I was told I had ADHD and all type of stuff when I was a kid, suspended schools and everything. I was told that I need help learning because I had a problem learning.
Well, what drives you? What drives you? Is it that you want to prove people wrong? Is it you need to prove something to yourself? What drives you?
What drives me is love. What drives me is love. I love my humanity. I love our people so much that I don't want anybody to ever go through what I went through, having the type of mentality that led me to the prison gates. I don't want anybody. I was urinated on by guards, all type of stuff. African-American black guards, you know. And the thing is, my fight is against ignorance. My fight used to be, what used to motivate me was had all this hate in my heart, fighting the system and this and that. You know, the system is so backwards and messed up. Yeah, the system is backwards and messed up. But the only reason it's backwards and messed up because we allow it to be.
Yes.
So then it can't be, no, my fight is against ignorance. You know, and Nelson Mandela once said the best way to defeat your enemies is with education. And one last thing, Dr. Maya Angelou, before she passed away, I was able to have Thanksgiving with her, and she told me, she said, courage. She said, without courage, she said courage is the most important attribute to have. Without courage, none of the others can even be practiced. You can't even get out of bed without courage, without having courage. So I was never a punk. I was never a coward, you know. I always had courage, but sometimes it was like blind courage, you know. Yeah. But now, like, I have a reason, you know. I know my reason. My reason is here to help people navigate this life without going through what I've been through, without developing the same type of ignorance that I had because of what I thought about myself. And what I thought about myself was nothing. Who are you? Shit, I don't know. What you mean, who am I? I don't know, you know. Who I was what the school system told me I was, you know. I was a black man that was destined to have a lot of children, destined to sleep with a lot of women, destined to go to jail, destined to be a hustler, destined to be all this other thing, you know. And obviously that's not who I was.
Many times we shape people's future where we try to tell them what they're going to be just because they're in a certain neighborhood or because they had a certain past or because they're making certain grades in school. We're telling them what they're going to be. And if we don't speak life into these kids, if all we're doing is speaking the negative into them, that's what they're going to believe.
That's right.
For you to be able to say that's not the truth and I'm going to show you better than I can tell you is remarkable.
That's right. And you got to really love. You got to love yourself to love anybody else. Yeah. And to love yourself, you got to know who you are. You know, we have no idea who we are. We don't care who we are. We don't care about our culture and our history, but that's the biggest mistake we can possibly make. Like people are so surprised that Black Panther has made $1 billion. I said, why the hell is you surprised? These Europeans have oppressed everybody on this planet, even their own.
Yeah.
So anytime that you have another that rises up, and we are now the other, and we have a movie that we are the subject that was direct, written, and everything by us. If that don't show you how much power we got, you blind as a bat. You know what I'm saying?
And,
we got the power to do anything if we want to do it better. We don't need anybody else to validate us. We don't need.
Yes. But on that note, Jihad, we have to take our last commercial break. But when we get back, I would love to tell everybody about your current series that you have right now, the B series.
Okay.
We'll talk a little bit about that and other projects that you have coming up. So just stay right there. We'll be right back after this commercial break.
All right.
Hello and congratulations. You have arrived at the second half. I'm your host, Cinder Coleman Miller. Connect with us every Thursday at 10 o'clock a.m. on the New Orleans Talk Network as we discuss issues pertaining to the most exciting and prolific generation of our times, the baby boomers. So for information, resources, and booming entertainment, meet us at the second half, brought to you by the Boomers Lifestyle Network.
I'm living my life like it's golden, living my life like it's golden, living my life like it's
Listen up. Your customers, our listeners, could be hearing about your business right now. Yeah, right now. Don't miss out on the opportunity to advertise with NewOrleansTalkNetwork.com. Call our business department today at 504-475-4793 to hear about our great rates. NewOrleansTalkNetwork.com. We provide the people, you provide the business.
What's up, readers and shakers? It's your girl, Rhonda M. Lawson, sending you a personal invite to the Literary Lounge. Tune in to Horizons with Meet the World Image Solutions each Wednesday at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time for the best in literary conversation. Each week, a different author will join us to talk to their most important readers, you. You can also call in to ask your own questions. So don't forget, each Wednesday at 7 p.m., join us in the lounge for Horizons with Meet the World Image Solutions. See you there.
Hi, I'm Evangelist Melanie Pichon. Listen, I'd like to invite you to view our Forgiven Talk Show every Thursday from 11 a.m. Central Standard Time until 12 noon. We talk about issues, we talk about challenges, we talk about those things really that other folks don't want to talk about. Listen, if you want to talk about something, if you want to give us some suggested ideas, comment below and we'll do our best to get at you. Remember, every Thursday from 11 a.m. Central Standard Time until 12 noon, the Forgiven Talk Show. Hi, I'm Evangelist Melanie.
And we're back. So thank you so much for hanging in there. We have about 10 minutes left in this interview. And so if you've just tuned in, you've missed a very, very powerful message from Jihad Uhuru, who has been talking about his journey from being a 7-year incarcerated inmate over in the federal penal system to when he first read a book at 23 years old. And then a few years later started writing essays and started talking with people and letting other people know what he had on his mind, and people actually wanted to listen to him. And then into his journey into being a published author. And today he is a 14-time published author. He has his own publishing company. He's actually teaching African American studies in the university system. And this was a man who people thought that he wouldn't amount to anything because he had been in prison. And he's proven everybody wrong, not because he was trying to prove people wrong. It was because he wanted to better himself. And so now I wanted to ask you, you do have a series out right now. Do you want to talk about that series?
Yes, thank you. Well, I got a series out called B, and it's a trilogy, but only the first 2 books out is Be the Rise and Be the Reawakening. Now, first, let me give you a little context. The reason I wrote this series is because I was a little fed up and a little tired that every movie made about the Bible and everything like that, you know, it doesn't represent the people of Africa who it takes place. You know, Noah, the Son of Man, all these other movies, you know, black people never know, you know, so I said to myself, I'm so tired of this, let me write the truth. And my truth is, I've studied ATR. I've studied so many different world cultures and world religions. So what I wanted to do is I wanted to marry African traditional religion with Christianity at the same time and write this good versus evil story. And it's about the rise. Be the rise is the rise of the Messiah. Be the reawakening is be the reawakening of the Messiah. Now, not of one Messiah, but the female and male energies that make up this thing, this perfection, this unit. You know, this messianic unit, right? And the antagonist of the story is the chairman of the Federal Reserve Bank. And the chairman of the Federal Reserve Bank pulls the strings of the head of the NSA, the head of the FBI, and the head of CIA, all the government's alphabet boys. And his head is he's like a Rupert Murdoch / like the Federal Reserve represents money, you know, because he has a lot of TV stations and stuff like that. But he's really the manifestation of evil. But yet, you know, but you see, and he has like he's and the same way he's able to use his mind, much more than 10% of his mind, because they say we only use about less than 10% of our mind capacity. Yeah. So he's able to do a lot of different things, you know, that we would call maybe super or I don't know, extra, you know, things that you see in superhero movies or whatever.
Yeah.
But
Like
so
having
can
a
these
superpower
two children, these two messiahs, and they have to come together. And it's also a story of the last descendant of Shango and the last descendant of Oba, which is African traditional religion story, have to come together to have a chance to overturn the government, the power of evil that's been working forever on this one world government organization.
Yes.
You know, so a lot of things I use that are very, very real in this, you know. And one of the characters y'all gonna love to hate is Donald Trump. Donald Trump, C-H-U-M-P, Trump, you know. So, but you're gonna see is what I'm doing is I'm showing you, just like you do in the Bible. I'm showing all these stories because it's very biblical. It's a revisiting of Revelations. I always tell people, God must be sitting up in heaven and be like, man, what's wrong with these people? They still reading this 1536 version of this old English that was written for the people at that time in that particular era that was going through that stuff. And they have never redone another book. And just because it's called Bible, he said, don't they know the word Bible is just Latin, you know? So that's what I did. I called it a revisiting. It's a revisiting of Revelation. It's really a revisiting of the Bible because it's all about one thing, moving the oppressed to freedom. But this time it's either move the oppressed to freedom or in the world.
So we do have the cover of that book. If we can bring that cover up, you have Be the Rise, and then you also, and is Be the Rise the current one?
Be the Rise is the first one, and Be the Reawakening is the second one.
Okay, so if we can bring those covers up, we have Be the Rise and then Be the Awakening. If I can get my
it's actually Be the Reawakening. It's the Reawakening.
Okay, so we have Be the Rise, and that was the first one, and then the Reawakening. Be the Reawakening is the second.
There you go. Yes.
Okay.
And reason it's called Be is because I'm trying to give everybody the power to read this book. Because I'm telling y'all, be the rise, be the reawakening. Y'all be your own Messiah. Stop looking for God in the sky. Stop looking for someone else to free you. Free yourself. You got a mind. You got computers. You got things. You don't need anybody to stay. You don't need nobody to give you a just over broke job. As long as the sun shines and the grass grows, you have a job. As long as you have a mind, you can make a job for yourself. So I'm like, be the rise of the Messiah. Be the reawakening of the Messiah. Everybody that reads this book, be the envision, embody it, just like when you read the book and you get into the story. Well, be the main character in the story.
Okay. Well, I'm going to need the people who are watching to be the people who are going to order these books. So where can they find them?
You can find my books. I'm glad you asked that question. If you want a physical book, you can. I would suggest you go to jihadwrites.com. It's JIHAD WRITS. And the reason being because if you buy 3 books, you get 1 free, and they're only $10. Or you can go on Amazon.com and you can pay $14.95 for the book. Or you can go to bookstores. You know. But I would suggest the best way is to go on jihadwrites.com and order the books. And like I said, support. And you can, and also they're also had they're on Kindle and Nook and all that other stuff too. So you know, if you want those readers, get that too. And please leave a review. These books are totally different than anything that you've ever read. I promise you. In the second book, I introduce the All as a character, and the All is the All. I don't call him God. I don't call him Creator. It's the All, ALL.
And when will that book be out?
Oh, it's out now. That's Be the Reawakening.
Okay,
the third book is it's going to be called Be the Remembered.
Gotcha.
And Be the Remembered comes out August the 18th of this year, 2018, 8/18/2018. And it's very significant. Everything I write is significant. The dates are significant. Even that day is significant because August 18th was the day of the first successful enslaved resurrection with Toussaint L'Ouverture. One man, damn near not by himself, but came. He was an enslaved person, and they took him back to Saint Dominique, which is modern day Haiti.
Yeah.
And he basically had a large slave insurrection that basically overturned, got to kick the French out, beat the French, killed them, whatever, you know. And still today, that's why Haiti has the sanctions it's had. That's why Haiti is so devastated when the Dominican Republic is not devastated, but they're on the same little piece of land, because the French government and the American government will not give them any aid or anything like that from their governments. And that's all stems back from 1783 for what Toussaint L'Ouverture did in 1783, because that insurrection, it led to a whole lot of insurrections in the United States, whole lot, because a lot of our enslaved people were taken to be seasoned in those islands, and St. Dominique was the main one.
Yeah.
So you had they knew what happened, and the story spread quick. So they said, "Oh, we can do this. We can win." And you had so many successful enslaved insurrections because of what Toussaint L'Ouverture did, because of the doors he opened, because he showed us, "Oh man, I don't care if you got 10 or 100 ships. If you got the heart and you got God on your side, and you understand who you are you going to defeat all that, because you made those ships and you made those bullets and you made those guns." So you're bigger and better than all of those.
Yes. But unfortunately, we have come to the end of this interview, but if you've been listening to this entire interview, you know it's been filled with entertainment, a lot of information. So please get out there and support Jihad Uhuru. I mean, this man's writing is amazing. I mean, as you can see, he has a lot of knowledge, and he puts this knowledge into his writing. And now these are fiction, but you put so much facts in it that people are still going to learn from it. That's what I'm hearing.
Oh yeah, matter of fact, they're really not fiction. What I do is it's a revisioning, because they're facts. It's true. It's the messages are true. Just like I tell people, the Bible, these are stories, and the stories may not necessarily be true, but the messages are true. The message is the most important thing. That's why we tell stories. We tell stories for you to get a message.
Right. Well, unfortunately, we do have to end the interview, but thank you so much, Jihad, for hanging in there with me for this hour. If I can support you in any way, all you have to do is just say the word.
Thank you, Queen.
All right, thank you so much. You enjoy the rest of your day. And thank you so much for joining us today for this special edition of Horizons with Meet the World Image Solutions. We will be back here this Wednesday on our regular night and our regular time. So make sure that you tune in. We're going to be speaking with authors Keith Hewen and Jack Cormier. And we're going to be looking at a little bit different side of literacy. So stay with us on Wednesday, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. Thanks so much. I'm your girl, Rhonda M. Lawson, and I'll see you in a couple of days.